If you're new to Claude Code, this video is for you. I'm going to share the tips and tricks I wish I knew about Claude Code before I started building with it, so you're going to have a big head start over people who are just jumping in. Claude Code can seem intimidating at first because it's just in your terminal. This video is going to make it really easy for you to understand all of those tips and tricks and get started. Tip number 1 of Claude Code is slash commands. If you're inside the terminal with Claude Code set up and you do a slash, you can see all of the different commands that you have available to you. So the next few tips are going to be what I find the most valuable slash commands that you need to know about, but there are a lot here for you to explore. So let's go ahead to tip number 2, which is the compact slash command. If you don't know about this, as your chat window gets really long, let's say you're chatting with Claude a lot, that is using a lot of context and tokens as you're chatting. So if you have a really long chat window, but you want to clear conversation history, but keep a summary in the context, all you have to do is do slash compact. And then if you want, you can even give an optional custom summarization instructions to be like, focus a lot on X or whatever you specifically want it to summarize and do a really good job at. So compact, I find, is really helpful. The next one that I find really helpful is security review. This is going to complete a security review of the pending changes on the current branch. This is really helpful. I think this is one of the trends of 2026 with vibe coding, it's security. This is going to help make sure that your app is secure. Now, you also can always just ask Claude to do a security review for you, but that's a nice slash command that I recommend checking out. So the third tip that you need to know about is the agents slash command. Now, this is going to be a little bit more advanced. I'm going to talk a little bit longer about the agents feature. Agents are specialized sub-agents that Claude can delegate tasks to. You can think of them almost like employees. Agents are different from skills. I'm going to talk about skills a little bit later in this video. So agents, you think of it as its own employee. They have their own context window, their own custom system prompt, and their own specific tools. You can use the agents subcommand to create a new agent. We can create a new one right now. We can generate it with Claude, and I'm going to do this to show you exactly what it's like. Let's say I want a marketer who can help me write amazing brand copy. And just off of that, it's going to create an agent, which is going to have a description and a basically context instructions, custom instructions on what it should do. Then at any time you are working in Claude, let's say you're building a landing page and you want to have really amazing copy for that landing page, you can invoke that agent and just literally ask Claude, hey, we have an agent that we've created called the marketing copy agent. So we can create a new agent. You can decide what tools you need. So we'll just say, for example, why don't we do read-only tools and then hit continue. You can decide how much power you want. Sonnet, Opus, Haiku, and hit from parent. I'm going to say Opus. And then you can give it a color, let's say purple. So there we go. That's it. We can just save it. So now we have an agent, brand copywriter. Anytime you want, you can do slash agents and then access the agents here. So what's great about agents, I can actually exit, just a little shortcut. You can always hit exit to get back to basically the chat. Let's say you have the whole chat going, you have a landing page. As I was mentioning before, you could say use the agent brand copywriter, or you wouldn't even have to specifically write it out like that, to generate 5 headline ideas for a copy shop website. So I'll do that. And what you're going to see is it's going to pull up the sub agent. It's going to show in a different color. And it's basically here working in its own context window. So you can have a whole long chat. This is, think of it almost as an employee going off and working in its own space, and then coming back and giving you an idea. Now, you can have multiple agents, sub-agents working at the same time. I could even spin up multiple brand copywriter sub-agents to work at the same time. And then here we have 5 headline ideas for your copy shop website. The agent also noted for cozy, do 2 or 5, craft forward 1 or 4, bold, do 3. So just a really, really powerful feature. You can have a UX UI agent. You can have a planning agent. You can have all sorts of agents. You can even ask Claude, what kind of agents do you recommend I create? So there's a lot that you can do with agents. That's a really powerful one to know about. So that brings me to my next tip, tip number 4. So if we are writing a prompt, tip that you can do is type ultra think. Now you can use this anytime you want. When you do that, Claude changes the design to like this rainbow color here. And that is just going to make Claude think a little bit harder. Now you don't have to do anything but that. It's just going to think harder. and basically use more tokens to give you a more well thought out result. So tip number 4 is to use UltraThink. That's a really quick one. Tip number 5 that I want to talk about next are skills. So I'm going to go down to skills. Now you could also just start typing skills, and that's going to list available skills that we have. So by default, I have a front-end design skill, or not by default, a skill that I already added is the front-end design skill. So skills are going to show you what skills you have, just going to list them. Now the plugin, if you do /plugins, you can manage Claude Code plugins. So that's basically skills that you can download that other people have created, which is what I did with that front-end design. But what's great about skills is they can be used across all of your Claude Code instances, and you can either download them from other people, or you can create them yourself. So I could say create a skill that is a YouTube title generator using best practices of YouTube titles. So you can just create skills inside of Claude. You also could potentially just create a markdown file outside of Claude and upload it to your Claude skills folder. But I think this is like the easiest way to do it. So it's going to create a Claude skills directory and add a YouTube title generator skill. So it's going to create that YouTube title generator skill. And then I'm going to show you how to invoke it, and then also why it's a little bit different from agents and sub-agents. So sub-agents are working on their own context window, their own custom instructions. Skills are going to work within the context window that you're already in, and you can stack them, and you could have multiple skills working at the same time. So here it created the skill, as you can see, core principles, title formulas that work, etc. I could also ask it to make changes, but I'm just going to say yes. Let's go ahead and create that skill. So then just like that, now we have a skill inside of Claude Code that you can use anytime you want. And then as I mentioned, you can stack them. So let's say you have a title generator skill and you have a script generator skill. You could have it put those together and then it would invoke those separately. So there's 2 different skills that can work together in one workflow. So that's a really important tip. Tip number 5, definitely you should know about skills and also agents. The next tip that you need to know about is planning. So let's say you're in Claude Code, you want to build a web app that measures my workouts, something simple. Now you could just send this off, but there's a really helpful feature called plan mode. So if we do Shift Tab, that's a shortcut, we can switch to plan mode on. You can also cycle through to turn it off. Now with plan mode on, we could send that off and it is going to plan out the app without actually creating it first. So it's going to say it's happy to build us one. Let's see what's in the directory, and then ask us questions to understand what we're looking for. So basically, the nice thing about plan mode is it's going to talk to us and it's not going to actually write code until we accept the plan. So we can see here, it's going to ask questions. It has workout type, feature, tech stack, data storage, and then submit. Then at that point, it would start actually building the app. So strength training, cardio, both, for example. You can also do /command and then do plan to enable plan mode. Plan mode's already on, so we don't have to do anything there, but plan mode number 6, really helpful that you should know how to do. Tip number 7 is that you can use Claude inside of IDEs. Here I have Claude running inside of a terminal, inside of Cursor, inside of this folder. I created a folder called Tutorial Claude Code. So Claude has access to all the files in this folder and can create files in the folder. So I'm using Cursor. I'm not actually using the Cursor agent. Now I could if I want to, and you could use them both in tandem, which can be helpful sometimes. But here I really built this app fully with Claude Code. And what it did is it built the web app. It has all the files here. What's nice about using the IDE specifically is if I'm just in the terminal, I can't easily see all the files and the code and go into it directly if I want to. Whereas here but in Cursor, I actually can go in and easily see all the code that's written. It's just a little bit better of a way to actually build apps and write code. And really, I think just a better way to use Claude Code in general, because it makes it really easy to see what's inside of the folders or check like the plan file, for example. There's a lot that we could do. So that's a really helpful tip. The next tip that you should know about is the Claude.md file. So this is MD stands for Markdown. It's just a Markdown file. It's a special file that Claude will use to automatically pull in context when starting a conversation. So this is something that you would basically add here to your folder. So I could create a new file and call it Claude.md. And then in here, we could type custom instructions that the Claude agent is going to always look at when it's working with you. So this could include code styles, workflow. So for example, Be sure to type check when you're done making a series of code changes. There's a lot that you can do and put inside of Claude Code or inside of the Claude.md file for Claude Code to look at. So this is definitely something that you should be aware of and know that it can do. And if you want, you could even just ask it, hey, put X, Y, and Z into a Claude.md file. So you could just have it do it. You don't have to even do it manually if you want. There's also some nice Claude.md files available on GitHub that other people have put out publicly that you could check out. The last tip I recommend is checking out the Claude Code documentation. This video covered the basic tips to get you started and things that I think will be helpful for you to make sure you understand. But there's so much in the documentation that I don't have time to cover in this video that's going to help you get the most out of Claude Code. So you can definitely just jump into Claude Code and start building with what I shared, but you can also go into the documentation and just read everything in more detail and make sure that you're getting the absolute most out of Claude Code. So this is a really great resource, and it's a tip that I keep going back to learn more about Claude Code and how to use it. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Check out our channel for even more Claude Code tips and tricks. We have more detailed videos covering Claude Code in even more detail. And we're going to be creating even more videos about Claude Code in the future. So subscribe to our channel to get those videos. If you enjoyed this video, you're going to enjoy our 2-minute vibe coding daily newsletter. We send it out every morning at 8 in the morning. You'll get it right in your inbox. I read it every morning to stay up to date on all of the news from the last day in AI and vibe coding. And again, if you're watching this video, I think you're going to really enjoy it as well. So subscribe for free. Click the link in the description. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.